Germany's many governments have come up with a 5-point plan for the loosening of coronavirus rules. It means we can start having pedicures before heading to the garden centre to pick up those blooming crocus bulbs. But why is Germany so bad at vaccinating people? And how come the AfD won a day in court? And there's a chat about gin. Make it happen.
Everybody, it's time for another episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan. I'm here with ex-Berliner magazine and Konrad Werner. Hello, Konrad.
Hello. I like that. That was a very good intro.
Yeah, I'm trying not to fuck it up.
Well, but you did it in a sort of spring-like way.
I was being jaunty. I'm trying to be more jaunty. I think this is going to have to be a good news week.
Yeah.
I want hope.
The birds
I think
are
we
singing.
need it. The birds are singing, and it's delightful.
The tulips are out.
Aye. Loads of crocuses, even in Hasenheide.
And Megan's being jaunty.
Always. The other reason I'm being jaunty is that I get to drink a Megacan for the first time in, I think, about 5 weeks. Yay!
And not only that, this Megacan is being sponsored by the Crazy Bastard Kitchen.
Yes.
So we've got another sponsor, even though we've not even spent all the money from the last sponsor yet.
It's so good. Yeah, so Crazy Bastard Kitchen. We're going to go there later for some delicious... What are you going to have? They do... For anyone who's not familiar, Crazy Bastard Kitchen is located in Weserstrasse in Neukölln, and it is run by some good friends of ours, and it is part like hot sauce shop with the Crazy Bastard sauces, which are delicious. In
my case, it's not just a good friend, it's also my brother. I should point that out.
This is like actual nepotism
it is
at
nepotism.
Its finest. So there's Jono who has the hot sauces.
You know, like, I would probably recommend people to go there anyway, because it's my brother's place.
Yeah.
But I genuinely do think that it's pretty good food.
It's excellent food.
Yeah.
So
and 5 people on Google say they're the best chicken burgers in Berlin.
I think I'm one of those people, just for full transparency here. Okay. But I absolutely stand by that statement. It's and I love a chicken burger. I always had a chicken burger as a child growing up. And it is delicious. So yes, your brother, Mr. Sebastian Knight, does the kitchen and it's excellent. And I'm going to eat. He does really good chips and mushy peas. And for anyone who is Irish or Irish inclined or likes St. Patrick's Day and our good food, they are doing a St. Patrick's Day food event where they're going to do chicken fillet rolls. I think both traditional and vegan, which means that more than 50%, I think, of their menu is vegan.
Yeah.
And it's fucking delicious.
Okay.
Mainly because your brother has the excellent principle of just because it's vegan, it doesn't have to be healthy. And that I appreciate.
So they've paid for the Megacans.
I got us both a gin and tonic because they're my favourite. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Oh, all right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, CBS. This is Gordon's and tonic.
It's that initial tonic-y kind of, it's almost like a little bit like a fuel.
Yeah, it's that smell of Megas. I keep smelling it like it's a wine and then remembering why you don't smell a Mega when you just opened it, because it is like a sort of a fume.
So yeah, it's a little bit ethanol-y.
That is absolutely delicious. There's no two ways about it.
Excellent.
I mean, gin and tonics are my favourite mixed drink. I've known how to mix a gin and tonic, not for my own consumption, but for adults in my house from a very early age. But I don't... Sometimes I'm like, I taste this, I'm like, why am I even bothering? Cutting up limes, putting up ice, just get a Mega and drink it from the can.
I was going to ask if you prefer like cucumber in it or lime or...
It depends. As a gin drinker, and I love gin, I do think that this gin craze has got slightly out of hand, and particularly like at home. Like a few years ago, I was at home and I went in just like local pub, a non-assuming pub, great pub in Armagh, called the Hole in the Wall, and I was served a gin and tonic in a sort of these goblets with halved grapes as the garnish, and I was like, this is too far. Gin is a dirty, not very important spirit. It's not whiskey that's been aged and loved for like 10 years, you know.
Yeah, you don't really age gin, do you?
No, you just have a trendy moustache, mix some herbs in at the end, and then charge people a fortune. Some of them are really nice. I like a Hendrix with cucumber.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
And I just normally have like Gordon's or whatever. A friend gave me a really nice Icelandic one that I've been drinking since my birthday. It was very nice. And then there's this lovely Irish one called Gunpowder Gin, Drumshambo Gunpowder Gin, and it comes in a beautiful blue bottle.
Yeah. It's not really a region or country specific drink, is it?
Everyone makes it.
Everyone. It's like Japanese gin. Everyone just...
You have to... It
belongs
anyone
to the world.
Can make it. It belongs to the world, which is nice. But we don't need to get fancy about it. We need to remember that it's the stuff that the Victorian underclass used to just get through things. You would get your little gin rag.
Well, it was mother's little helper.
The gin rag, which I'd love. If you couldn't afford gin, you would pay somebody to dip your gin rag into their gin and then suck your rag.
Really?
True story that I have not fact-checked, but I've been telling for many years.
That's interesting. You
I'm
couldn't
pretty
do
sure
that nowadays.
that's what the gin rag comes from, I think. It's not very corona-friendly to go around sucking on rags and ducking in other people's gin, to be honest. Mind you, I imagine that Victorian gin would have stripped the coronavirus and anything else clean out of your system.
That would have been the cure in those days.
Yeah.
They would have said, like, just drink more gin.
Yeah.
That would have been the coronavirus
I mean,
cure.
it's not a bad cure. Anyway.
Okay. Right. We've moved on in the medical field as a human race. Mm-hmm. And now we are at the stage where we have vaccines.
Do we have vaccines?
But
do we?
So do you want to know the vaccine? I shall compare because I have them to hand.
Oh.
The UK has vaccinated 31.4% of its population.
Oh, fuck me.
While Germany has vaccinated 5.7% of its population of the first vaccine.
With the first dose.
Yeah. So
I think by the time it's
behind.
literally they've done 10 times as more percentage of the population. I think if you look at people who are fully dosed, I did look at it today and it's hovering around 3%, which is fucking depressing.
And a lot of people are saying a lot of people are saying, it's that the myth of German efficiency is being destroyed before our eyes.
Well, as someone who went to the Bundesamt for the first time 12 years ago, that was not something that was going to need to be destroyed for me.
Yeah, and people, but I don't think, I mean, and then people are kind of comparing, they're making jokes about the airport, the old airport jokes about having everything takes ages. I don't think that is, I get it.
The airport, like the BER?
Yeah. It's sort of saying,
does that become like
Germany's really slow at stuff. But I just think that it's not so much like inefficiency. I think it's mainly choosing the wrong strategy. Here's what I think.
You go.
Germany is the kind of country that likes to read the instructions on the packet.
My God, yes.
Because I feel this in myself, because I am half German. And I also, even when I buy a packet of pasta, even though I know exactly how long it takes to cook pasta, I sometimes still always check to see if it's an 8-minute pasta or like a 12-minute pasta. You know, like there's always like...
You don't just cook the pasta and trust yourself to know that...
No. Right. I always just like the German part of me takes over and then I read the instructions.
Yes.
And I think that's what happened with the vaccines. Mm-hmm. I think the Germans were told by the vaccine makers, you need 2 jabs 4 weeks apart and then otherwise we can't guarantee its efficacy. And that, when they started vaccinating people, that might have been a good idea. Like, that might have been the right way to do. No one really knew. And that's what it said on the packet. So that is, I think, the main reason why Germany's been so slow, because they've kept back all the second doses for 4 weeks.
Yes.
But there have been other problems with bureaucracy and with digitalization and all this other stuff that people talk about. But I think that the main reason is just they just chose the wrong strategy from the beginning, whereas the UK one was like
super cautious, which is good in many ways. And I do feel like the UK just kind of went with something.
Let's get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Yeah, which was good because I can understand they were being like ripped through. Like their numbers were terrifying.
Yeah.
Post-Christmas, they were up to 60,000 cases a day at one point. And I can understand that. And they also have, the Tories just took a little bit of a gamble and it paid off, because then it did end up saying like, the data supports that you can leave that like longer amounts of time between the vaccines. And the Tories just took uncharacteristically all of their money, threw it at public health. And then when they got what public health needed, which was a shit ton of fucking vaccines, they just gave it to the NHS to sort out. And the NHS is the most extraordinarily efficient thing set up for like that, and it's all in the way that the German medical system is not. It's all centralized, everyone is on it, and like so everyone can just be like contacted. It's amazing. And Germany has none of those things. Like I saw on the Berliner Fenster recently, like a little, you know, the little TVs on the U-Bahn, that it was like 1 in 5 doctor's surgeries still lists like fax as their number one means of communication. And I was just looking at it going like, I'm never getting this vaccine. NHS is sending out emails. They're running like algorithms, sending emails and like fax. Great.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is that Germany was obviously really praised a year ago.
Yeah.
Because the German system, I think partly because it was decentralized, was able to quite flexibly contain the outbreak because they could roll out tests really quickly.
Yeah.
And they had like certain amount of advantages, and the UK was really far behind, raged through the population much more quickly in the UK, and they had more deaths. But the federalisation seems to have backfired when it comes to vaccines, because there's been a lot of blaming, like the local governments in Germany have been blaming the federal government, and they've been blaming them back for not, you know, no one's really sure who's in charge of the health system. Is it the federal government, or is it the communes, or is it the states? So
do you
it's
mean
been
communes like the Kassen, like the...
Yeah, I don't mean hippies living together.
Please, no. Oh.
I mean municipal communes. I mean the Kommunen are the municipal authorities. Yeah, they're the ones that you're allowed to vote for as a resident.
Oh, like the councils.
Yeah,
yeah,
local
like
council.
the Bezirk councils. Okay.
So there's been like a bit of a bureaucratic back and forth and blaming each other, and that has slowed things down as well. But it's also, I just think it's mainly just they decided to read the packet. I'm sticking to that.
I think that plus it's an insanely bureaucratic system, and I think working within their education system makes me realise just how unbelievably and in some cases unnecessarily complex. But then on the other side, the health service in Germany basically works in a way that the NHS and other health services struggle with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
with
there's been fewer deaths here. There's been like a fraction of
they're still nowhere near like the... Anyway, I don't know. I'm feeling very positive because I'm drinking gin and I know everything is terrible, but I need to believe that all the vaccines that they're talking about are going to arrive. Apparently, I think they were just getting a dump of them in April. And then everyone's going to get a vaccine. And then...
Are you allowed to do them yourself? Can you just get one in the post and then just stick it in yourself? I probably could manage that.
I don't think you could.
No? Bit of vodka, disinfectant. Could use gin.
Yeah, just use a Mega.
Disinfect the patch with a little cotton swab. And then stick it in.
It's quite hard, I think, to get it in, and it is quite sore. So I'd imagine I would... Okay, I've had to give myself like little jabs.
Okay.
And it's not fun.
Okay, so don't follow my medical advice.
I don't know. Mind you, if they're going to start giving them out in the post, I'm up for it. I'll take it in any way. But speaking of trying to be hopeful, the other thing that's happened, and because of the failures in the Impfstrategie that we've just talked about, somewhat controversially, Germany did announce lots of...
loosening of the rules.
I've realised it's very confusing because loosening is Lockerung in Germany. And that is why it's been confusing in my head, because Lockerung sounds like lockdown, but it's the opposite of lockdown.
So...
Yes.
What are the loosening of the rules? So the Merkel had another minister-president conference this week.
Really tricky one, I think.
And they came up with a 5-point plan, which our mayor, Mr. Michael Müller, who is the head of the Minister-President Conference at the moment, which is why he was doing the press conference.
Is that why it is? I was wondering why him and why does Bayern get to be in there?
I don't know.
Because they'd
special.
Fucking kick off if they didn't.
Special.
Keep them happy they've got all the money.
Possibly.
It's like your annoying uncle that everyone like dislikes, but he's so wealthy that you can't.
I am actually slightly annoyed with myself that I don't know why Marcus Söder was there, but I will find it out.
He's always there.
He's always just hanging around. But anyway, so there are 5-point reopening plan.
Yes.
Starting with last week, which has already happened, obviously.
Yes, last week has happened.
Which is when the Kitas and the hairdressers opened and some of the schools.
Yes.
And as of next week, which has not yet happened, starting from the 8th, they're starting to open things.
They are.
Including flower shops.
Yes.
I'm reading here.
It is like an absolute random... It's so weird.
That's the second thing on the list after bookshops, even though I thought bookshops in Berlin are already open. Anyway, flower shops, garden markets, as long as it's one customer per 10 or 20 square meters.
Which wouldn't usually be a problem in a garden centre, but everyone is so fucking desperate for some shopping. There's going to be, it's like going to be like Berghain down at Hollanda and Treptower Park. There's going to be queuing, people like drinking in the queue. It's going to be a whole fucking social event to go and get some pflanzen.
To get some
I've
tomatoes.
literally already, people have been texting me being like, we could go and get some plants and then like I could drive us home with the plants if we wanted. It's like the most exciting thing anyone's heard.
People are desperate to indulge in retail.
Oh God.
Okay, and then it also says Körpernähe Dienstleistungen.
I am not proud of myself.
Physical, like...
That is basically manis, pedis, massages, and I am unbelievably excited about that. And then I felt really bad about it. Are you going to go for the full works? And then I was like, do you know what, Megan? I got my training, which you know about because I sent you a picture of me in my full PPE to administer Schnelltests to my colleagues.
So you're a qualified tester now?
I am a qualified tester with the little like Schnelltest, the antigen tests. Just up the nose, I'm not allowed to do the throat.
Why not? What's the
I
difference?
don't know, but judging by how much I made my colleague, who was my guinea pig, cry, it was awful. I feel so bad. It was terrible. He was like, no, it's just my hay fever. I was like, oh. Anyway, so I was like, I can just get Schnelltests. Get him to give me a Schnelltest and work, and then I can go and get my manicure and I won't feel as bad. Okay.
And driving schools and flying schools are also, as of Monday, are going to be open.
Yes, so the deal with the plan is, right, that they've given us little like steps to opening, but then there's caveats. This is the earliest possible date for this. And then some of them have to be like, it's related to the incidence number. Mm-hmm. So how many people in the last 7 days per 100,000 residents have tested positive for coronavirus. Yeah. And it's also then based on lots of testing happening. I still don't know exactly. There's all this like, everyone's going to be able to get tested free once a week. But Spahn hasn't shown us the plan yet, unless I've missed it.
Hiding it.
Maybe. But I can get them in work.
But we're supposed to get one free test each per week.
Yeah, that is the plan. So, and then, like, if we're under 50 of next week, which we won't be, but think about it, it could, from next week, it would be possible we could go have Einzelhandel again, like little shops and museums and galleries and zoos and things and like non-contact sports up to 10 people. And also the contact rules have changed. We can now see 2 households up to 5 people, which isn't hugely different if you live on your own, but it's pretty cool.
And a maximum of 20 children from 2 households. That's 2 big households. That's for hanging around outside and doing sport.
Yes. And then 14 days later, so like it's basically once some Lockerung happens, then they wait for 2 weeks, I think, to watch the body count. Yeah. The body count goes crazy or the incidence goes crazy. Everybody back down. Back in your homes. Get out of that massage parlour, Megan.
Exactly.
Get away. You don't need your pedicure. I really, really need a pedicure. Like, it's awful. And then...
But if the incidence rate stays below 100... 14 days later, as of the 22nd of March, at the earliest, we can have the following things.
We can have
if we've
Außengastronomie. I woke up to this on the radio the other day and they were like, beer gardens from the 22nd of March. And I was like, I've never gone from sleepy to awake. I was like, beer gardens from the 22nd of March.
So restaurants are allowed to open outside. Mm-hmm. Theatres, concert halls and cinemas. Yeah. That's a pretty big thing, isn't it? Because they've really been fucked.
They've been absolutely fucked, yeah. I'm not watching a single thing on my home screen anymore. I'm going out to view everything. Maybe they could do things where they're like, could you just whap on Netflix on the big screen and we'll pay you like 10. Can I just come on a Sunday and pay you 20 quid to sit here in my robe binging Netflix?
Drinking gin.
Like, I'm happy to pay you all of the things and you can... Yeah, so good time to go and support our local things if the incidence rate is under. And then, as of the 5th of April...
Okay. So a month from now.
Contact sport.
Ooh.
Freizeitveranstaltungen im Aus. So outside things up to 50 teilnehmers. Wow. 50 participants. What? Yeah. From the 5th of April, maybe. I mean, if that's only for under 50. Lads, basically what we have to do is do all of these things, but be unbelievably careful. Get your tests, wear your masks. I
mean, to be fair, the current incidence rate is 70-ish, 60-something, 70-ish.
Yeah.
So it's pretty unlikely that in a month from now we'll be under 50, considering that they're going to start opening shops on Monday.
Absolutely. It's very unlikely. Unless we're all being really responsible with testing and everything.
Yeah.
And if you have symptoms, you just stay the fuck home. Wash your hands. Like, wear your masks. Wear your masks. I didn't think I was like that desperate to get out of lockdown, and I've now just like, I heard that word beer gardens from the 22nd of March, and I was like, oh my lord.
Yeah, that will be
nice. And also, it sounds, I had this weird moment the other day when I was reading the Tagesspiegel, and they mentioned that the death rate was going down because older people have mainly, the really vulnerable people in society have mainly been vaccinated now, and everybody in the Pflegeheime has had their, people working there as well in the nursing homes have had their vaccines, and they were like, the death rate is going down because the most vulnerable in society have been like protected. And that was like such like, I'm quite drunk now, but that was such an emotional thing to read, and you're like, we are going to have to do some reckoning with the fact that for a full year, I have now been checking the death rate of my country and other countries to which I have connections from a disease. And that's a lot. Yeah. And I would say I've probably been affected of the world probably the least by coronavirus. Like, literally, I've had very little. I've been incredibly privileged and lucky.
Probably not as much as me. You're already testing people. You're touching. You've got kids and stuff. I mean, you have like contact. I mean,
that
is
hard. That is hard, and the kids are struggling. They are. It's time for them to have some social contacts again. Like it really is. Yeah.
I've just been in my pajamas for a year. Pretty much.
No, but like, yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, so
where are we up to? So that was step 5. So we're pretty near the end. Was that
step 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that I think that is probably unlikely to happen. Step 5
by the 5th of April. So the next big conference where Angela Merkel tries to lay down the law and everyone shouts at her. She sounded. That press conference was given really late, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did it all day. It was like it was nearly midnight when they did the press conference.
Yeah, and she sounded exhausted.
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah. And I think really people are saying like she lost and everything because she's always been for the hard lockdown. But anyway. Oh, sorry. So Entscheidung über die weitere... So like on the 22nd of March, they're going to do like decisions about gastronomy, culture, travel and hotels.
Is this a dream world?
I don't know.
Where we can travel and go to hotels.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a complete dick. It has made me appreciate like shit like this. You know? Right.
Well, I think everyone is now pretty clear on what is going to happen. If not,
nothing more clear.
If not,
than an excited woman reading it poorly.
You can always read the explainer on explainer.com.
Please do. They've done a really good breakdown. Okay. In better words than me, and they probably weren't drunk when they wrote it. I say probably, but yeah.
So right, good. Would you like to hear about some other news?
Yes. Well,
there hasn't been much other news, but a little bit.
Has there not?
Well,
not.
I mean, in Germany, it's been mainly this stuff. But
all right, yes, go for it.
One thing that we did talk about a few weeks ago, so we should update about it, is the fact that the AFD won today in a court decision about whether the Constitutional Court... Wait, sorry.
No.
Not the Constitutional Court. The Office for the Protection of the Constitution.
Yes.
Verfassungsschutz, which is a sort of a domestic intelligence agency, like an internal CIA.
Yes.
That tracks.
That's good, because I was
these...
trying to explain it in English in the week, and I was just like, the thing, if there's with the terrorism and the inside of the Germany.
Inside of the Germany.
Inside of the Germany.
So any terrorists that we might, or extremists, political extremists that we may have inside Germany, it's the job of the Verfassungsschutz to track them down, to keep an eye on them. Unless
maybe they're on the far right. No, sorry, I'm not going to do that.
And we talked about a few weeks ago, they were going to put the AFD, the whole of the AFD, which is quite a big thing. It's an entire political party represented in the Bundestag on its watch list because they have so many extremist members.
Yeah.
And the Verfassungsschutz said on Wednesday they were going to do this, and on Friday a court in Cologne overruled and said, no, you can't do this. There has to be an Eilantrag. And they did an Eilantrag, and they said you have to wait for another decision by a court. So for now, the Verfassungsschutz is barred from observing or keeping the AFD under surveillance. And
sometimes the law is a real dick. Decision.
So there's that.
Yeah, I heard about this. I heard about the initial decision on Wednesday, I think, was when the Verfassungsschutz said, we're going to put them all thing. And to be honest, knowing what we know about the Verfassungsschutz and their historical not very goodness at dealing with extremists on the right of the spectrum, they must have a lot of reasons why they think they can do this or why they should be doing this. So hopefully it will stand up. I'm refusing to be dragged down into non-positivity. It
depends on how exactly what you think. It's an interesting thing because this has never happened before, that a whole political party is being put under surveillance to this extent. I mean, I know the Linke, there was a while where the Linke was put under surveillance, but not at this level. And it's a level of surveillance which is not just gathering intelligence about what public speeches they're making, what they're saying on their Facebook pages. It is they can tap the phones.
Yeah.
And it's quite a serious level of surveillance for a big political party like the AFD.
I mean, I think that's a positive
So the court said they got...
This is when I talk about this is what Germany needs to do. It needs to actually put shit in place. So it'll be interesting, to deal with their right-wing extremism, serious, cancerous problem.
But what is maybe interesting is that the fact that the Verfassungsschutz has only now decided to do this because they had their leader was a guy called Hans-Georg Maaßen, who since being sacked from the head of the Verfassungsschutz a couple of years ago, or he stepped down or whatever, but he was basically forced out. He's kind of turned out to be rather right-wing.
Oh, yes. Wasn't he the one that kind of was a denier of the violence that had happened in Chemnitz? Was that him? He. See, I listen.
Yeah, you do listen.
To my Megacan haze. I listen. Sometimes I remember things.
So he was the former head of the Verfassungsschutz, and it's interesting that since he's left, the Verfassungsschutz has started to go after the AFD a little bit more. He now that he is a free agent, he doesn't count himself as a supporter of the AFD. He counts himself as a supporter of the CDU, but it's pretty far on the right of the CDU. So there's that.
Well, what I find quite interesting was I heard about this from the Tagesschau, their little 15-minute daily update, which usually comes out after it's broadcast at 8 p.m. You can get it on little podcast things. And Tagesschau, I would say, it's like the first German, they always say it's like the erste deutsche Fernsehen. Like the first TV channel, the first TV that ever existed in Germany. So it's like the BBC, eh? Like,
yeah. In fact, it was modelled on the BBC.
Yeah. So when it was covering this story about the AfD like going up a notch on the Verfassungsschutz, I haven't heard their coverage from this court decision, but they really were being very like anti. There was a lot of like, they put all these sound clips in of like various AfD speakers where it just sounds like someone in the 30s just shouting in German, and you can't, if you're me, really understand it, but it was just like,
but it had that kind of nasal high-pitched thing,
tone
that you would associate with
the
Hitler.
Immigrants and blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, oof. And they were really like, people interviewed that's like little sound bites saying like, but the thing is, these are not extreme people that are pulling the party to the right. These are the centre. Like they talked about Gauland, who's the one in Thüringen, I think.
Yeah, he's like one of the most important. No, you're thinking of Björn Höcke, but he's the one in Thüringen.
Yes.
Björn Höcke is the one you don't like.
I don't.
You especially don't like.
I want to be very clear. Höcke, yeah. So Gauland is like the other. Anyway, they were talking about basically how they weren't being diplomatic about it, particularly on the Tagesschau, which I also thought was a positive thing. I'm being positive today.
Okay, good. I noticed.
Germany is going to be okay with the vaccines. This Lockerung thing is going to give us all a little bit of hope. And also a fun game to play. Let's all keep those numbers down so we can go to the fucking beer garden on the 22nd.
Yeah. I can tell you one other thing about the AfD. Is that because I've interviewed a couple of them, of the members and of the officials and politicians and stuff. What I noticed is that the thing that they hate more than immigrants is Berliners. They hate like.
I think you've said this to me before, like the multi-culti kind of lefty.
Yeah. And they really identify Berliners, and sort of they have this image in their head of Berliners being like this sort of sexually free hedonists that go out all the time just shagging each other and taking drugs.
You know who also hated Berlin for exactly that reason, AfD?
And they get extremely riled up on this sort of subject of but like I think they have that. I think if you were being an armchair psychologist, which is obviously not a good thing, but if you're being...
Pretty sure this is exactly what we do in a kind of like...
There's a sort of like I feel like there's a repressed sexual frustration in the AfD.
No, but I think that's just right-wing. Like they just hate everyone and they hate their lives and they hate themselves.
Yeah. And they hate people for having lots of fun.
Yeah, because we tell white men that they have everything and that they should have everything, and then when they don't have everything, they deeply hate themselves because they feel like they've failed at being a white man, and then they can't deal with that own self-satisfaction. But rather than dismantling, like feminism tries to do, going like, well, maybe it's the expectation that women are supposed to be a certain way that's at fault. What white men do is they just take it and they make it immigrants' fault. Not all. Hashtag not all white men. I don't mean you, Conrads. You're lovely.
But they're bothered. Yeah, they're bothered. It's the same as in America. They're bothered like more about, like white identity. This sort of perceived threat to white identity.
Yeah, because if you can't deal with your own identity and you're not comfortable within your own identity, then people going out in like Kit Kat Club and really fully expressing their sexual, gender, whatever identity, and being like, I'm here, my pronouns are they and their, and here is my penis. That is threatening. That's super threatening. So that's not all Berliners, but I'm like, fairly representative.
But that's what they think about Berliners. I mean, that.
Well, it's not untrue, but it's also like, you don't have to, Like,
no, I mean, I just know because I've seen on like their Facebook because they express particular glee when there's been like a COVID outbreak in a nightclub in Berlin.
There was that very, very funny story. Like, because
And
I
that
remember
kind
the
of
press thing going out, being like,
there's a sort of moral. There's this sort of moral judgment behind it. It's like you deserved that because you went and had like a good time that I can't have.
I know, and it's like no one's telling you that you can't go to like Kit Kat or any of the clubs. I mean, it's probably going to be very hard for you to get in. But it's hard for everyone to get in. It's hard
I mean, it's
for
not
the,
like I go.
like,
I never go. I mean, I don't know.
no. But like, it's just this, oh, you don't have to, you know, we all are, I think all of us, you know, just in the prisons of our own personalities and what we have decided is right. And it's very freeing to understand. I've been doing this kind of this week, like that we don't know what's right, and that's okay, because then we don't have to get upset when other people do other things. Like, it's fine. Yeah. We're all just humans, and everyone just needs a Megacan. And
okay, yeah. Well, anyway, I feel like that's a good place to end.
I think so.
Sort of a general call to humanity.
Have you finished your Megacan? How did you enjoy your Jordans? That's how you know you've had a Megacan, when you put a soft G on Gordon's.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I particularly enjoyed not having to drink two. Because I really
You've been doing absolutely, like, I don't like saying manful, humanful work on the 2 Megacans. There's no way I could possibly do that. If I drink 2 Megacans one after the other, I literally black out.
Okay. Right.
Also, everybody in the whole world, but particularly maybe Berliners, because you get the day off, it is Frauentag, Women's Day on Monday. I'm not going to do my usual rant of reasons why you should be annoyed in Germany, because we're being positive today. But
so is there any events that you could take part in?
There are
Monday?
some events which I haven't. There's a few. I'm not sure I'm going to go to any, but
what are they?
I don't know. Like, I just know they're happening.
Sorry.
But they're definitely
go online, Google
various ones, and yeah, go and do that.
Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. Stay safe, everybody. Wear your masks. Stay at home. Let's surprise the government by just meeting their expectations, and then they have to let us go to beer gardens. Oh.
Yeah. On that note.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.